Hey guys, just give me 1 second. I am sharing the link to the author group and then we will get started. Okay, so I'm just going to give people a minute to come. I'm just kind of talking because whoever is going to watch this later is going to see a bunch of dead air in the beginning, and I'm sorry. Right now it is 6:58, so I am just giving people a moment to arrive. Bree can see me. I am so not tech savvy. I don't see anybody. Let me see. Bree, if you can see this. Okay, I see 2 people. Hey, hi, Kristen. Now I'm excited. Hi, Mary Beth. Okay, so Bree, you can comment on the side where it says live chat. You can see it on the right-hand side. You should be able to comment there. Hi, guys. Hi, Marlena. Hi, Sarah. We're just kind of figuring out the tech stuff. Sorry about all of that. You'll have event. Give me a title. Yeah, okay, so we're here. I'm just waiting for Jessica and I'm waiting for Bree to show up because they are going to be commenting about some of the marketing stuff that we have set up in the sidebar where you guys are. So I'm just giving them another minute to figure out how to connect. So hi, Vicky Ann, how are you? You can't answer me. I don't know why I'm asking you a question. So we're just waiting. I hope everyone's well. I guess you can answer me in the chat actually. So I hope everyone's doing well. It's Friday. I hope your week's going good. Mary Beth, I saw that you survived a root canal and I've never had one and I never want to. And I hope that it went well. Hope you're not in too much pain. Yeah, you can sort of answer. Yeah, the sidebar of justice. Hi, Victoria. This is fun. I feel weird. I feel like I'm talking to nobody and everybody at the same time. Hey, Clayton. Okay, Clayton, I hope your brain does not explode. Oh my God, I'm sorry, it was the worst, but it's over. That's the best thing is that it's over, it's done with, and you don't have to worry about it anymore, hopefully. So that's good. Okay, let me see what's going on. Can you guys comment? You might have to sign in. Use the link in the PH author group. Yeah, Bree, I think it does have to be on your computer in order for you to comment. And I prefer that you guys do have the ability to comment because if I leave anything out or forget anything, it would be great to have you here. Yes, for the good of marketing, we have made it. Thank you so much, you guys, for taking your time out tonight and for coming to listen to me ramble about marketing. I think it's important. We have a bunch of announcements that we want to talk about tonight and kind of get ready. And of course, you know, we would love your opinion on things that are coming up too. So I really appreciate you guys being here. And then for those of you who are going to be watching later, of course, definitely comment underneath. Any questions you might have. Probably questions would be better sent to me in an email, of course. But if you have, you know, opinions or things that you want to say, of course, comments are always welcome. I'm just giving everybody 1 more minute. Okay, so Jessica's in. That's great. And I guess I'm going to start now because I know Bree is going to be here soon. Okay. I sent you info on how to do a group live. Okay, I think just for the sake of tonight, because I don't want to waste anyone's time kind of screwing around with like the tech stuff and trying to figure that out, I am going to just leave it to the chat tonight, if that's okay. And then for next time, we'll know that we always have to do these things early, which is my fault. As you can see, I was beating my face. So next time we will have a group chat and have Jess here, unless it's something very easy. And I don't know, I mean, you're welcome to sign into my account and try to figure it out. But we will get started. I have a format for tonight and how I want to discuss things, and kind of open it up to you guys, because I know a lot of things about marketing are very individual and very personal to your books. And of course, not every release is going to be the same. And we completely understand that, and nor do we want it to be. But we figured that, we should continue to do these powwows once in a while, because it just keeps everybody informed. It's a great way to talk to you guys. I feel like we never really get to talk to you guys very well. So we're going to do that tonight. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to make some announcements about the company and where we're headed into 2020. I was having conversations. Yeah, I love powwows too. They're a bunch of fun. I wish we were all like physically here. That'd be crazy. That'd be chaos, but it would be chaotic good. Yeah. So the conversation that I was having with the group recently was that 2020 is going to be a big year for us, because we are going into the new year with more attention from book boxes, more attention from distributors, more attention from press and PR. And now that we actually have a PR department that is carved out, with people actively working on press releases and submitting to local newspapers, nationwide newspapers, and et cetera, 2020 is really going to be a year that is going to either define us as a mid-level publisher or essentially break us. So it's a lot of pressure, but it's also a lot of good pressure, because we really intend to rise to the occasion. We have a lot of plans. So the first thing that I want to talk about is how we are going to be rebranding. This is a conversation that I've had with a couple of you, but definitely not the vast majority. And I think most of you don't actually know about it. So over the past couple of years, we, I think, have done a really solid job as far as carving out our personality online as a company. I think something that people notice, and something that I specifically notice about the Parliament House, is that we do not follow the same formula as other, and especially I think small presses, but even larger trad pubs, which is to say that I think most of them are kind of sterile. They're very much, publishing companies in the sense that they're there to do their job. They talk about their books. I think, Epic Reads does a great job of having a personality. And I think that we've done a great job of carving out our personality and our aesthetic online. I think people jump online and they can tell us apart right away. If they look at a post, they can very easily tell that, oh, that's a Parliament House post. In the past, it's been more in the lane of like the occult, the supernatural, new age, pagan, Wiccan, things like that. It has kind of organically morphed down that road based on the titles that we take on, the way that we do our graphics and things like that. And I think that we have a very huge opportunity presented to us right now, because I think that there is a huge shift in the way that things are moving with pop culture. I think that the pendulum is swinging in a bunch of different interesting ways. The in thing, I guess, in 2018 and 2019 were, unicorns, mermaids, witches, and all of that stuff. And now I think we're getting back into the realm of, I think vampires are coming back. And more importantly, I think with the release of the Ninth House, and if anybody follows, this is ridiculous because this has nothing to do with publishing, but if anybody follows like Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star, they're coming out with their conspiracy collection on November 1st. And so I think the whole sense of of conspiracy theories, secret societies, Illuminati, skull and bones, that kind of theme is going to be extremely prevalent in 2020 in pop culture and in literature. Thanks in a big way to Leigh Bardugo, absolutely. So we have decided that we are going to rebrand down that lane. We are going to essentially start hinting on our social media. We're going to start changing over the website. We are currently going through brainstorming sessions about what kind of visuals and graphics we can start releasing to kind of hint that we are moving our branding and shifting our branding into a secret society sort of theme. And the joke there is that obviously the Parliament House is still a very small publishing house in the grand scheme of things. And so the fact of the matter is that we don't have the capital to advertise our titles as well as the larger publishing companies have. So the joke is, well, how come you haven't heard about our titles? It's not because we don't have the capital to advertise them. It's because they're the best kept secret in publishing and we don't want you to know. And that's like the whole tongue-in-cheek joke about our new, the way we're branding now. Of course, your titles are going to be very, very visible and we're going to make them as visible as possible. But the experience is that we are going to make the reader feel like they're being taken on a journey, that they're being accepted into this secret society, that they're here for a reason, that it's all very inclusive and spooky and awesome, and at the same time having a great amount of fun. So now the Parliament House is no longer a publishing company, but a secret society, and that's the joke. Of course, we're still a publishing company. So the first thing that we are introducing in the new year is the way that we are distributing your ARCs, the way that we are doing cover reveals, chapter reveals, all of that. In the past, we had a way of doing outreach to new and existing bloggers and participants, people that we worked with in the past. We would essentially send them a Google sign-up form. They would fill out all of their information. We would put them on a spreadsheet. And then, a couple of days later, once we had all of the assets in place, we would email them out to them. And then we would keep a list, of course, of who was participating so we can have the numbers of how many people were participating in your cover reveals or, reviewing your books and all of that. So we decided, after bringing in a slew of new interns, especially Jessica has been integral in this decision. She's amazing. And by the way, today is her birthday. So if everybody can say happy birthday to Jessica. I'm just really thankful and glad that she's here tonight. And I told her not to, but she is here. And thanks for being with us. So she had the idea to essentially do away with that method because it kind of felt like, bloggers have so many publishing companies and so much content and so many things to weed through on the daily basis that filling out another form online can start to feel like work, and going through emails can start to seem like work. And so we wanted it to be a lot more fun and a lot more in keeping with our new brand. So she had the idea to start, and a lot of you have already seen this, to start a new Facebook group, which is essentially our street team, called the Parliament House Secret Pledges. And that comes into play with all of like the skull and bones, things like that. Of course, the first thing you would be when joining a cult or a secret society would be a pledge. So, so she's made this Facebook group, and we're doing a massive amount of outreach, and we're talking to new people, bookstagrammers, bloggers, booktubers, everybody that could and should be talking about your books. We are starting to reach out to them and inviting them to this group. And then on our side of things, and what you don't see is that instead of having all of these spreadsheets for individual events, we are streamlining the process now to only having one spreadsheet, and every column is belonging to your upcoming events. And it's so beautiful. It's so organized. There's boxes to check off about who is participating in what, and there's drop-down menus, and it's gorgeous. And again, thanks to Jessica. And and yeah, she can, of course, keep talking about it in the sidebar. I see you guys are talking. So I'm sorry if I'm not, I will be answering questions later because I'm sure you guys will have a lot of questions, I hope. So yeah, so that's the way we're changing our method to attract and outreach. And also, I think that makes it feel incredibly more inclusive and exciting, and it gives us a way to interact with bloggers more often rather than just in an email. You guys see the rate at which we reply to emails because we are just so many people. Sometimes we respond instantly and sometimes it takes us a month, especially me. But this, I think, will make it feel a lot more fun, and it will be a lot more direct, and it brings them into our world, and it makes them feel like they are a part of something rather than just us soliciting their help. So I think it's genius, and that's going to be a lot of fun. And where you guys come into play, and how we really actually need your help, is that while we are doing our outreach, it is also your responsibility as an author to do your outreach, to invite them, especially when you have an upcoming event online, to make sure that you're reaching out to your contacts and bringing them in. The way that you do that, by the way, and of course, Jessica, correct me if I'm wrong, still, I think the way that you do that is you should not invite them. Like when you are in the group and it says invite a bunch of people, I think that adds them automatically. So yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not sure if I'm wrong, but yeah, so if you're in the group and you click invite a friend, it adds them automatically. Whereas if you send them a link, like if you send them a URL to the group, it will ask them questions, and it's information that we need in order to understand how they're going to play a part in our secret society. So we need them to answer those questions. It's the way that we vet people. It's the way that we add them to our numbers, and we can keep track of them in our spreadsheet on our side. So in order to stay organized when you're inviting people, make sure you are sharing the URL to your people that you want to participate in things. And that's very, very important. Okay. Yeah. So Mary Beth said that she definitely had to answer questions when she was invited. Okay, so she was invited the normal way. Okay, so it doesn't, so scratch everything I just said. So invite your people. I will be inviting my people. I haven't done that yet. But like I said, I think that this is just going to be very exciting. We're going to be releasing a lot of new visuals. We're going to be doing a new campaign surrounding your titles, upcoming titles in 2020, that surround the whole secret society theme. I think that's going to get everybody talking. I think it's going to create an enormous buzz. And if we do it the right way, then I think that it will really catapult us into the stratosphere of being a mid-level publisher. We are almost there. So we just have to kind of keep going on this trajectory. I wanted to say something else. There's a lot of things I wanted to say, but I'll circle back to this in case I remember later, because I don't want to sit here thinking. Okay, so there's that. And then another thing that we're doing, and I just want to let you guys know that now we have a very carved out PR department that consists of a new intern, Mike Feeney, I think he's here, and that consists of Bree, who you guys know, Bree Shigalski. She runs our blog, and she interacts with you. She releases your ARCs and all of that. So now she will be heading off the PR department, which is really exciting and really wonderful. So what they're going to be doing is they are going to be, let me turn off my Facebook. They're going to be focusing on your upcoming releases, writing press releases, and they're going to be curating special PR outreach for you depending on the themes in your book, where you live, things like that. So essentially, I can pull Mary Beth as an example. Her book, her lead character is a barista, centers around coffee. So I told them to think outside of the box. And of course, they're going to be talking to press in Boston, in that area, Massachusetts, even talking to periodicals or things online that center around coffee, because it's a point of interest, and to not only focus on, of course they will be focusing on newspapers, radio, television news, all of the traditional press and media, but they will also be thinking outside of the box and focusing on things like themes that tie into your book. So if there's, a piece of media that covers coffee and they want to talk about a book that talks about coffee, even though it's a fantasy book, there's always a way and there's always a tie-in. That also kind of leads me to an idea that I've been thinking about too, is I wanted to connect Mary Beth with Vicki Ann, if she's still here, because Vicki Ann runs coffee house tours. And I don't know if you guys got to talking already, but that's a really good tie-in. So you guys should definitely get to talking about that. I don't know when the next coffee house tours is, but I would love for Vicki Ann to actually talk about that a lot more. And I would love for, also, I saw that Pagan was here. Pagan, thanks so much for being here. I don't know what time it is in Australia right now, but that's really cool. And I know Pagan has a lot of incredible insight into marketing her own book and marketing other people's books. And I definitely invite her to talk a lot more in the author group, because I think all of your insight can really help. So all of that's happening. And with that is a lot more, much smaller moving pieces and smaller details that I'm sure I'm forgetting, but we can talk about that. This is going to be a conversation that's going to continue on for a long time. Not this live thing, but I mean, like texting in the group and just talking about this in general is going to continue for a long time, I'm sure. Okay. Another thing that I want to talk about is the importance of you guys being a lot more tapped in to your own marketing, thinking outside of the box for yourselves, and things that we are going to be expecting from you in 2020 in order to succeed, in order for everybody to succeed. And this is so important. Something else that Jessica is going to be doing, it's not by any means finished yet, and that is completely okay. It will be done soon. Everybody will be receiving a copy, is a marketing packet. And that is going to consist of a timeline, recommendations of different things that you could be doing for your cover reveals, giveaways, talking to bloggers. I mean, there's just so many things that she's going to be putting in there leading up to your releases. So that way, if anybody's new to this or they're floundering for ideas as far as keeping your books relevant for so many months leading up to your release, I think this packet and this schedule is really going to help you. Of course, they are guidelines, but they are heavily, heavily suggested guidelines. And she can definitely talk more about that, but everybody will be receiving a copy, and it's brilliant because she's brilliant. I have nothing else to say. We're just so grateful to have found her. Okay, so let's talk about the production queue. Everything is a little bit different shut up. People are talking to me. Oh, we got a Wix order. Yay, somebody sold a book. So there's a lot of things that are much different, especially for those of you who have been with us for a year or longer. Things are changing in the department of production. In essence, things are moving a lot faster. Your ARCs are getting done faster, and I can absolutely applaud Chantal because there are no corners being cut. It is not that we are doing any less editing or any of that. It is just that our technology has gotten better. Our system, the way that we work together has gotten better. Our communication within this side of things has gotten better. So we have more or less become a well-oiled machine. There's still some kinks that we're working out, but it's a lot tighter now. So with that, we have been having the discussion that we are putting out covers way early. And so essentially, like in Trad Pub, if you'll notice, sometimes books are getting talked about in the marketplace a year in advance from the book's release. It could be a year, it could be 9 months, it could be 6 months, but the window is very wide. And I think in independent publishing, it tends to be very, very small, and you're right on top of your release, and that doesn't always give you adequate time to market. So it's kind of finding that sweet spot. It's like, if you talk about your book too far in advance, well, people forget about it by the time your book is released. If you talk about it right on top of your release, how many people are going to be hyped for it? So we're finding that, we're trying to find that window. And so you'll notice that your cover reveals are kind of the bullet getting fired into the air. I mean, that's the word go, is when your cover is revealed, from my standpoint. And actually, when your books get signed, and you receive your acquisitions announcement, that's the real first word go. I mean, I think that you should start talking about your book immediately. As soon as you receive the acquisition announcement, you guys need to make sure that your information is on Goodreads. You need to make sure that you have an author profile on Facebook, that your Author Central on Amazon is all up to date. All of your information on Amazon Central is so, so important. We're going to talk about branding heavily tonight, actually. Instagram, Twitter, all of that is so important. And I know people are like, well, is it really important? Yes, we're living in 2020 now, soon. You have to be easy to find, and you have to be approachable and reachable by your audience. It's so important for them to feel engaged and to feel like they can talk to you, because even if you feel like the most minute person in the world and that your brand is essentially nothing right now, I promise you that there's somebody out there that if you reach out to them or if you respond to a DM, they are going to flip out because they think that you're some kind of celebrity. And that is just the fact. And I know that sounds ridiculous, because I also think, like, from my end as an author, that it's ridiculous, but it's true. And so, and I might be jumping around a little bit, so excuse me if I am, but branding in this new year is so important. So I definitely want to make sure that from the earliest day, from acquisitions, you are talking about and uploading and branding all of your information on Goodreads. Make a list. This is important, and this will be, I'm sure, in the packet. All of your information on Author Central, a Facebook fan page, or if you don't like that because the algorithm sucks on Facebook right now and always, a Facebook group. I really, really want you guys to think about that, because actually Facebook groups are a really fun way, because we're utilizing it, and a great way to talk to your readers. You have to be on Instagram, and you don't have to do it the way that everybody else does it. It doesn't have to be a bunch of selfies of you if that makes you uncomfortable or whatever. It could be you're traveling, it could be your writing. And I know it seems maybe so like superficial, and it is, but the fact of the matter is that the Bookstagram community is enormous, and they have to be able to find you, and they want to go to your page, and they want to see like what you're working on, and where you're working and what your office looks like today or whatever. I mean, there's so many ways to do that. So I think that that's incredibly important. And then also, Book Twitter is an enormous community. The writing community and the reading community on Book Twitter is severe. It is fierce. It is fast paced, but you can carve out such an amazing readership. So make sure you're present and all of your stuff is up to date. Also, a .com. Having a .com is incredibly important, and there are ways to do it these days that are very cost effective, and it doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't even have to be elaborate. It could be one page, essentially just a hub with all of your social media links, and make sure that you are starting your newsletter. I'm sure to some of you, this all sounds so overwhelming right now, and I apologize, but it will get easier the more you do it, I promise. Newsletters are so important, and I learned this a long time ago, is that on social media, you're renting those followers. People can unfollow you in a blink if they don't like something you do or post, and they will. But your newsletter is a little bit different, because I think the people that subscribe to a newsletter are more likely to be evangelists of your work, and they're more likely to stay longer. So that's just something that's stuck in my head from studies I've done in the past, is you rent your social media following and you own your newsletter following. It's just more of a direct way. So make sure your .com is set up. WordPress, Squarespace, or whatever that is. There's so many. I mean, there's so many now. Wix is a little bit more expensive, whatever. And make sure that you're utilizing MailChimp, or like if you guys need recommendations, send us messages, ask us questions, because your mailing list is so important. If you have not started building your mailing list by now, you're late. Okay. And when I say branding, I mean, what is your aesthetic? What is your personality? It does not have to by any means be the same personality as Parliament House. That's us. We don't, like Taylor Simons is so funny because anytime I take a picture of like all of the Parliament House books stacked, she's like, oh my God, I ruined your color scheme. And no, not at all. You need to have your own color scheme, and we welcome all color schemes. So yeah, what is your aesthetic online? Like, who are you? She's the kind of superhero, colorful, more comic book, because she's kind of in that realm. That's her. And then Chantal is really great because she's the fairy tale retelling. So she's all pastels and she's more muted, but it's very whimsical and all of that. And so, so think about that. Like, who are you online? And sometimes this also is going to sound very kind of daunting and scary to some of you, and some of you it won't. Sometimes you have to play a little bit of a character online. It's a face that you put on, and people subscribe to that. And I don't mean to say be fake, and I don't mean to say don't be yourself. This is kind of contradictory. I'm realizing as I'm talking, but it's a little bit true. I mean, you kind of have to be a heightened version of yourself. Because it's like when you subscribe to Stephen King, I'm sure at the end of the day, he slumps into his armchair and kicks off his, loafers and whatever, like anybody else, but online he's Stephen King. So I hope you guys are understanding what I'm trying to say. And visually, like, how does that translate? What do your banners look like? Do you have a logo? What does your profile picture look like? And again, maybe this all sounds incredibly superficial, but it makes you easier to spot. In a sea of lots of noise and lots of content, you're competing with so many different authors and types of content and people, and you need to have that carved out so people know, oh my gosh, that's, Marlena or whatever, it's important. So you have to take that stuff more seriously. I am a huge proprietor of the fake it until you make it idea, which is to say that if you're new to this, or maybe you do have more of a following that's carved out and more of a readership, then that's great. Always treat your brand like it's bigger than it is, and have fun. This should be a fun and enjoyable process, but also take your brand incredibly seriously. That's your business. And I think most of us, and I think I can speak for most of us when I say that we are doing this for mostly the love of it. Yes, of course, we all hope that it turns into a career with longevity and it pays off in a monetary way. But we start this because we love it. So you need to have fun, but it's still something that you need to take seriously. It's still your business. It's still a representation of you. So what does that look like? And, do some serious thinking about that. Who are you online? What does that look like? What are your visuals? What kind of content are you putting out? Are you somebody who wants to talk to your readers on YouTube? Are you somebody who wants to tweet constantly? Whatever that is. And it's not going to happen overnight. And nobody expects it to. It's going to take a lot of trial and error. I'm certainly still doing that with my own personal writing brand. It's going to take sometimes years of development, but you have to start now. Treat yourself like you're V.E. Schwab. Treat yourself like you're Lee Bardugo, because in the future you could be, and it's in there. So act like that. Okay, let's see. I'm trying to make sure I'm covering all of our bases. We at Parliament House, we utilize Hootsuite. I think it's great, just so you don't have to constantly think about putting up content every single day, because yes, that gets daunting. So it's a service. If you don't know what that is, it's a service where you pre-schedule your social media posts before the day. So I try to always pre-schedule our Instagram posts at least a week out, so the week can go and I can do other things and not have to worry about what our aesthetic on Instagram looks like. And if it all is kind of flowing, it just is, because I sit down on a Monday and I work on it. So I would recommend that if you're not somebody who has the freedom or the capacity to be on social media 24/7. I highly recommend like pre-scheduling your posts and everything. Also, this is a conversation that I had probably several years ago now with JD Jones. It was one of the first powwows she had, and her question was, because now I'm going to start talking about reaching out to bloggers and influencers or, bookstagrammers, whatever. She was like, well, Shane, I don't want to be too billboardy and I don't want to be too pushy with reaching out to people. And my response to that was, everybody wants to find their next favorite book. And it doesn't always have to be a trad title. It doesn't always have to be a huge title. Most often, people don't want to jump on a bandwagon. It's exciting when you see a new cover from like a big trad publisher and there's a bunch of hype about it and everybody wants to get it and everyone's talking about this book. Like, yes, of course that exists and that will always exist. But there's also a huge amount of people who want to be the one that discovers this secret book that they love and that they're so excited and jazzed about because nobody knows about it and they want to introduce it to all of their friends. So the point is to never be afraid to reach out. And also no one's saying that you have to be pushy about the way that you do it. I always approach networking and that kind of thing with no expectation. You go in, and this is a conversation I just had with Bree and Mike actually about PR. You go in and you introduce yourself and you say, hi, I'm a really big fan of your reviews of your work. I see that you review a lot of the same kind of book that I am into and that I write, which is why I follow you, which is really exciting. I really think that you're gonna love this. And you go into it with the idea that you're making an acquaintance or hopefully you're making a friend and you build rapport. And again, these things take time, but once you start putting in the effort, you're going to see the reward and the turnaround come back to you tenfold. The more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. I'm going to definitely say and remind everybody that we are now a group of 8 people, 8 people, I don't know, in the marketing department, not that many. So we, do our best to provide you, and it is our responsibility to provide you with the tools to go out and to have enough to represent your book and what I hopefully think you think is a very professional way and a very professional look and feel, a good representation of your story. And once you guys have the tools you need, that it makes your side of marketing easier. I am by no means saying that we are against marketing. That's why we have a marketing department, is because we love talking about our titles and we love pushing our titles. But we have so many releases, and especially in 2020 and 2021, it's going to be just as crazy as it was this year. It is going to be back to back to back to back releases. It's just the way it is. So we have to make sure that we're giving whatever energy we have within our small team to the next release. So that means once we've given you your tools, we need that help. We need you to go out into the world and talk about your book and learn how to be savvy on social media and learn how to put out good content. It is so important. It's important for you and your longevity too. So we are going to be providing a lot more, but at the same time, we're also going to be expecting a lot more. Another thing is that certain things about the way that we take on titles, and I definitely want to talk about this, is those things are going to change. We, in the past, were, and we still are, going to be very welcoming of lots of titles, but the amount that we're taking is going to be a lot less, and this is what we're doing. So in the beginning, we decided that it was a necessary evil to accept and to take on so many titles and to have back-to-back releases, because the motive there was to essentially establish ourselves in the industry as a big player. We wanted to establish ourselves early to make sure we were extremely visible. And the only way to do that is to have a big catalog and say, okay, we are not here, and not to be a book mill either, because that's absolutely not what we are. We very carefully curate what we take on, and we believe in what we take on. But we have to have a catalog that can kind of stack up next to a mid-level publisher. And that was the necessary evil in the beginning. I think, like I said, 2020 is set. Our queue is complete. It is again going to be a back-to-back crazy year. The early side of 2021 is looking like it's going to be the same thing. After that time has passed, though, we are going to be changing things. We are opening up our submissions again. We said May 2020. Now it's possibly going to be earlier. We don't know. We are going to be not only curating titles very carefully and the kind of manuscripts that we're going to take, we are also going to be curating authors very carefully, because now we are in a position where following voice, what you have to say, your personality, all of that is so important. Do you have something interesting to say? Do you have a stance on the world? Do you have huge goals to change the world? Things like that. And again, I'm sure all of this is sounding very daunting, but we want to attract the, how do I say this? We want to attract authors that have, and not that you guys don't, because you guys absolutely do, but we're going to be very careful in the future about new people, because it has to be people that have something very important to say, not only in their work, but in their brand as well. And so what that is going to mean is that we're going to take on much fewer people. And now, instead of doing a release every single Tuesday, we are only going to be doing 4 releases for new titles every season. A season is spring and fall. Those are our on seasons, because those seasons we are not competing as heavily with the trad publishers. Summer, the trad pubs have a lot of blockbuster releases that they put out over the summer, and it really hurts us. And then over the winter, of course, we're competing with all of the titles coming out for the holidays. We have a few titles like that, but not all of our titles are like that. So those are our off seasons. On seasons are spring and fall, because it's easier to market books during spring and fall. So we're only going to be releasing new standalone books, or first in a series, like new, fresh books, only 4 of those during an on season. During an off season, we will be releasing the subsequent books to a series. So that's not, we're not saying that we're going to be completely getting rid of the work that we have signed on now. We believe in the series that we have signed on now. We want to continue to push them. And it's not to say that, those books won't sell because they're being released during an on season or an off season. That's not the point. The point is that the focus for you and for us needs to be to market and do press and all of that a lot more heavily for the first books in a series or for a standalone, because if you think about it, those books are a lot easier to market. And then you build that readership for that book, and you funnel those readers into the subsequent books. So I hope this is all making sense. I hope this is not all throwing everybody into a massive panic. It's all for the greater good. And there's just a lot of big things coming that we have to be ready for, and we have to think this far ahead. It really takes a big picture. So yeah, and I'm just trying to think. We've covered branding, we've covered social media, we've covered outreach, more or less. I mean, I can get on my soapbox for hours and talk until you guys are so tired of my voice. But I am going to, oh, hi, Chantal. I am going to turn the tables over to you now. I am going to listen to questions now, because I'm sure that you guys have a ton, and I'm sure that there's a lot of things that I forgot to talk about. So please ask questions. Yeah, so Bree says ooze confidence, but also let that overflow into making them feel awesome as well. Genuinely compliment their writing and feed. Yeah, that's so important to just have, when you're talking to a reviewer or a blogger, bookstagrammer, whoever you're talking to, that it's just a genuine experience. You're just there to just genuinely make a connection. And that's it. Yeah, it shouldn't make anyone feel panicked at all. No, it shouldn't. It's all for, like I said, the greater good of everything that's happening. And I think that this plan will really help everything. Let's see, don't forget to mention our Twitter. Oh yeah, duh. Yeah, this is something that's really exciting that's coming up. So what was it? It was every Monday we are going to be doing, and forgive me if I'm wrong, if I switch these days around. I think I'm right. So every Monday we're going to be doing a Twitter chat. We're going to be featuring, Mondays at 1 p.m. Thank you. We're going to be featuring the author of the book that's coming out the following Tuesday. So, for instance, Tracy, her book is coming out, The Sons of Fire. It's coming out on a Tuesday in January. So her Twitter chat featuring her would be the preceding Monday. And everybody is absolutely welcome to join in. It's just a highlight on her book and the themes in her book for 1 hour on Twitter. Yes, 1 p.m. Eastern. Yes, that's going to be awesome. That, of course, applies to everybody, and that's going to bring a lot of attention to your books and our catalog as a whole. So it's going to be really great. On Thursday, we are going to be doing highlights on Instagram. And Jessica can elaborate a little bit more on this because I'm not 100% familiar with the idea about the thing on Instagram. I think it's a story takeover, if I'm not. We will do backlog authors on off weeks. Okay. And if there is an author who is not wanting to do a Twitter chat, because of course we're not going to force you to, we're a secret society, but we're not like such a huge cult that we're going to force you to do a Twitter chat. And on Thursday it's going to be an Instagram like story takeover, or an Instagram live, actually, I think is what it was. It was an Instagram live. So it's going to be actually talking to your readers, working with, it's an Instagram live co-host with Jessica. She's going to be doing, that's right, I'm sorry. She's going to be doing a Q&A with you guys. You'll be talking to Jessica, with your readers, all of that. And it's going to be so much fun. And that's going to be every single week. So it's going to bring a lot of attention. I'm missing questions, so I'm scrolling up. If you guys will just give me a second. Kristen says, so I'm late to the newsletter game, but I also don't know what the heck to put in it. Okay, so newsletters, that's a great question. I think that most authors release one newsletter every month, maybe bi-monthly, but I think most of the time it's every month, and it's really just updates on your writing. If you're, I know you're active on Wattpad, so it's whatever you're putting up on Wattpad. It's your writing struggles, like what's your work in progress. If you've traveled, it could be personal. It's essentially just like a blog that you're sending out directly to your readers, and it's something that you use to talk to them. It's just kind of an update about your life. And even if it is something personal, like I am traveling to the hills of Ireland or whatever, at the bottom, you would put a link back to your book. And so it's kind of like a blog with some ad copy on the bottom. It could be that, it could be announcements about events if you're going to conventions, all of that. And I would definitely follow some of your favorite authors and their newsletters and see how they do it. And of course, not to copy anybody, but to get some inspiration on the content that they're putting into their newsletters, I would definitely take the inspiration. Yeah. Okay. You're not a failboat. Nobody is a failboat. This is a lot. I'm basically throwing this at you that you guys need to be a brand influencer on Instagram. You need to be a Twitter guru. It just is what it is, but it's so important. But nobody is a failboat. Okay, all of that. Newsletter. Yeah, I don't have a newsletter. Do as I say and not as I do. I don't have a newsletter myself, and I don't even have a .com right now. I used to, but I need to get that back up and running. So failboat right here. Yeah, so Bree's suggesting that if anybody needs help with copywriting for their own content, that's very gracious of her to offer for you to contact her and Mike, because we're going to keep them very busy. So, but that's very gracious of her. So if you guys want to do that, I would definitely take advantage of that. Oh my gosh. So Alex, she's just been sitting here listening and she only just realized that this is a chat. I'm sorry. I should have maybe announced that earlier. Yeah. And then Marlena suggested that you can set up a mailing list that automatically sends out a free short story. That's a great idea. Definitely. That's a great marketing tactic, is to give out as much free content as possible. If you want to do, like I said earlier, if you want to do giveaway, like you can contact us and say, hey, can you make our book free for whatever, 48 hours? Cause I'm going to do a massive, especially if you have a series, that is such a good idea. Like if you've got maybe your third, I wouldn't maybe suggest it on the second book quite yet, but the third book or fourth book coming out in a series, and we make your book free for 48 hours. And what you're doing is you're attracting so many new readers into your funnel, and you're, sending them down the line to the rest of the books in your series. That's a great idea. But she's talking about, offering a short story, to get people to sign up for your newsletter. That's incredibly important too. I hate newsletters. I just try to think of them as blog posts. Yeah, that's essentially what they are. They're just very direct blog posts. Yeah, so Mike is saying that author Joan Hill sends him one once a month. It's mostly personal with some work updates. Like Alex said, it's essentially just a very personal blog post. Okay. Sarah Sober's question. I know you were talking about moving production over to, Ingram. What is the status of that? Are you looking at distribution through them? That's a really good question. The status of that is that we are in the process of doing that. It probably won't be fully 100% moved over until January. If that, it's just going to take a long process. The catalog is huge. So right now, the way that it stands is, so let me explain this. So KDP is currently right now our main distributor for paperbacks. Separately though, in order for your paperback and your hardcover to be listed on Barnes & Noble, and not, because KDP is obviously, it's exclusive to Amazon, but in order for your paperback and your hardcover to be listed on Barnes & Noble, it has to be available through their publishing on demand arm, which is affiliated with Ingram. So right now, as it stands, all of your hardcovers are with Ingram. All of your paperbacks are with KDP, and your Barnes & Noble editions of your paperbacks are through Ingram. So it's very confusing. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get everything over to just one side. This is costly. It costs a lot in time as well. It just takes a lot of time. So we anticipate having the entire catalog hopefully moved over by the new year. I can't make any promises, but we're doing our best. I talk to Amazon, if not once a day, definitely every other day. And it's just, they are the bane of my existence. So believe me, I'm doing everything in my power not to work through them directly anymore. The actual goal though is that we don't want to be fully distributed through any print on demand kind of operation. Eventually what we want Macmillan or Penguin Random House to swoop in and say, we're going to distribute, you're going to be a subsidiary, which doesn't mean it wouldn't mean that we're an imprint. That's all confusing too. Let me try to explain this. If you are distributed through one of the majors, like let's say Penguin Random House, I'll use an example. So I did a book cover that you guys probably saw the other day for Charlesbridge Publishing, which is a mid-level publishing out of Boston. They're still technically an independent publishing company, but they are distributed through Penguin Random House. They are not, however, an imprint. So that means their creative, their marketing, all of that. Some of their marketing does defer to Penguin, but it's not exclusively run by Penguin. So if that were to happen, we would not be giving up our creative or turning over our operation to one of the majors. We would be just getting distributed by them. And for that to happen, that requires mega sales that just requires us showing up in a big way. Like our books just getting a lot of sales, getting a lot of attention, and we're slowly getting there. I mean, Writer's Digest was a really big deal this year. Book boxes are a really big deal. A couple of our titles are currently being considered by Publishers Weekly. It's not a promise yet. There's just a bunch of stuff cooking, but we are on that road, and it's just going to take some time. But the goal is to be distributed by one of those guys, one of the majors. So I hope that answers your question. It's going to take a long time. It's all going to take a long time. Okay, I know I'm probably missing a bunch of things, so I apologize. Pagan says, hey, Shane, we have a printing facility in Australia for Ingram. Yeah, a printing facility in Australia would help me tons. And as you know, Pagan, so yeah, as it's going to happen, like I said, and I think it's going to happen hopefully by January. That's my goal. That's my personal goal. Okay, what's the status on audiobooks and uploading books to the book depository? Book depository is picking books up slowly by slowly. The way that works is it's curated by their people. It's not the same way where like we upload to a specific catalog and then it just gets like immersed into the book depository like system. It's just not how that works. It's essentially like, what's that thing? Indie something, I'm not remembering, but it's essentially like they see or they get the information from another distributor, and I actually think it is Ingram. So when your book shows up in Barnes & Noble, they get that information and I'm not talking right, sorry. They pull that information and they list it on book depository. So that's all happening. It's happening slowly. I think, Marlena, your book should be up there by now because it is from January. If it's not, I can try to reach out to somebody there. But a lot of people I know are having their books show up. As far as audiobooks, our entire catalog has been uploaded into the system for ACX. ACX is Amazon's arm to do audiobooks. It's how we find narrators. It's essentially the print on demand for audiobooks. So, I mean, Chantal answered you. Everything is up in ACX currently. If it's not, it's going up. Everything's happening now. Everything's happening presently. I know all of our backlog has been up, like listed there. So what we're waiting on is just to find a good narrator. Some of you have heard from us. Some of you have gotten auditions. Some of you are considering people. And some of you, if you haven't heard from us, it's simply because there's not been anybody that we deem appropriate or good enough to do your audiobook. And that's not to say that like we're not letting you listen to auditions, because we are. The way that we select those people and we vet those people for you is just like if the audio quality is horrible and it's just not professional and sounding enough, and I would think that we know enough to understand what that should sound like, we won't send that to you. If it's like a lot of background noise, if it's a lot of white noise, that's a pass. If it's somebody that is good, if the quality is good, but they're just completely monotone and insufferable to listen to, probably like me right now, then it's a pass. If it's somebody, that kind of checks all of those boxes, that they're good and the quality is good, then we will pass them along to you. So you will be hearing from us soon if you have not heard from us already. IndieBound, that's what I was referring to, Kristen, IndieBound. So Book Depository operates the same way as IndieBound. It's all a giant pain in the butt. It's all a bunch of red tape. There's essentially not much we can do except for getting the books listed through Ingram to Barnes & Noble, and then having IndieBound and Book Depository pick them up. That was what I was trying to say earlier. That's what I was trying to articulate. So in essence, it's all happening. And if it hasn't happened yet, it will happen. It's just a bunch of red tape. And it's going to be like that until we get noticed and distributed by a larger company. Okay. Aislinn or Finn is here. Hi, Finn. How would you guys suggest contacting places like Writer's Digest for our books? Okay. So I can talk about that really fast. The way that happened for us is that we were contacted by Writer's Digest earlier this year about Double Crossing the Bridge for Sarah Over, which was incredible. And then over that time, I got to know Cassandra Lipp, who was the editor at the time, for like debut authors and new pieces. And so once we got to talking, again, I went into it with zero expectations. We just were emailing back and forth. She gave Sarah an incredible opportunity, and then she ended up looking into the rest of our catalog, and Pagan ended up pitching a story or an article idea, and then Taylor Simons ended up pitching an article idea, and that all went great. What happened then is that Cassandra actually left the department, and I don't know if she left Writer's Digest completely or if she just moved to another department. I'm not entirely sure. I see on Twitter that she's focusing a lot on her own personal writing. So the short answer there is that I don't have that direct contact anymore. I did try to speak to the new contact. I think his name is Ben, who's there right now doing her old job. And he was less inclined to talk to me, I guess because his tastes are different, or he just didn't know me from Adam. So that's what I mean when I say it's really important to curate these relationships. But to answer your question, how would I suggest contacting any of the big places like Publishers Weekly or Writer's Digest or any of these bigger places is to just do it. And it's just simple. It's the worst answer that you can hear is nothing or a no. And that's not going to kill you. And I know maybe some of you might think that it will, but it won't. Just do it. Just write an email. What I would suggest is to not find like the editor-in-chief. Don't contact them. Don't find like the senior editor. Find somebody who is like a reporter, like that focuses on something central to you. So if it's somebody who specifically covers YA fantasy books, or if it's somebody who is like Cassie, just published, just considers debut authors, contact those people directly if you can. You can even, this is kind of a little bit, and do this carefully, don't be creepy about it, but I've done it in the past where I have found them on Twitter, and I just shot them a very short little introductory, like, hi, I saw your article on such and such. I really loved it. I would love to talk to you about some of our books, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes I heard nothing. And sometimes I got back like, yay, yeah, let's do it. Let me know about your catalog. So I would try to find people directly. Sometimes their emails are listed on the website, and just introduce yourself. And that's it. It is so simple. It's so simple, and it's so not, because there's gatekeepers and there's people who are going to have their nose in the air, and they're going to say, well, I'm not covering an independent person, because unfortunately those people still exist. But the best thing you can always do is to just go for it and to not worry about what the outcome is going to be. And it's that simple. Okay, let's see. It's also interesting. Does this mean upcoming titles will be through Ingram rather than KDP? I don't know. It's really just going to depend on our schedule and the way things go down. I don't have a solid answer. I'm not going to make any empty promises at this point. I don't know. I hope so, because it would be better for everybody, but I don't know right now. Okay. You guys were just talking about Ryan Reynolds. So okay, so Mary Beth is saying, my next question can go towards contacting book boxes. Any insight for future projects? Yes. So I have had an epiphany, which is we have started to do seasonal catalogs, which we are almost done putting together our spring 2020 catalog. We're a little bit late because we're just waiting on this girl to finish cover designs. And all of that information, it just takes a lot of time. But the epiphany that I had was that it works better when you contact them about specific titles that go with, or you think would kind of interest them based on their past features, rather than throwing an entire catalog at them. So actually, yeah. So to answer your question, that's something that we need to be doing. You can absolutely contact a book box and just introduce yourself as an author and say, hi, my book is coming out through the Parliament House here. What we do is we send a cover, we send your press release when it's done. I don't think at this point I've ever attached an ARC right away. I think that's like unsolicited. I think that's a no-no. So I have not done that, but I have attached a cover, the synopsis, and a press release. And I said, we have the digital ARC available and sometimes the physical ARC available should you request it. And they most of the time will answer me with either a yes or a no. So you are more than welcome to talk to book boxes and to reach out to them directly and say, I'm such and such author. This is my book coming out. I think based on your past, releases, you would be really excited about it. And I would love it if you talk to my publisher. Boom. And if they get back to you and you have a conversation, great. You've made that connection for the future. Should it be with us or with anybody else? It's good to have made that connection, specifically about your book. Then if they answer you with some interest, then we would be the ones to send them your ARC, because from there, then I have to talk numbers, and that is not for you guys. You guys will know the numbers, of course. That's all very transparent. We talk about it with our authors. You can absolutely talk to Taylor about her experience. But when it comes to negotiating, that's our department. Please do not negotiate with book boxes, because then you don't need us. Yeah. So, okay. I creep on people all the time. It's acceptable. So do I. Aislinn, I'm sorry you didn't hear my response. This will be posted later because I don't even remember what I was talking about because I babble forever. Don't kill me, but will the Parliament author page? Yeah, so that's another thing, is like the Parliament author page is so backed up. Everything about our.com is so incredibly backed up. Everything's gonna be new, Kristen. Everything. So I don't even think there's going to be an author page in the sense that there is now, because it's just a lot to like keep everyone's headshot updated, added, all of your information. That's a lot. There's going to be probably a list, like just an alphabetical list, and your name is going to link to your.com, which is why it's important for you guys to have one, that you have like a headquarters online. But that's going to be it, I think, because now there's a lot of you. So it's not the way that it used to be. So, but yeah, the whole website is going to be different. Yeah, Alex, that's essentially what we're utilizing for Publishers Weekly, is a page, what the system that they use to contact them for reviews. So Cindy, who is our author liaison and actually somebody that you guys will be talking to a lot more from now on, she has been the one to reach out or to list your books with Publishers Weekly and to put them up for review consideration. So we've got several titles that are up there now, and we're waiting to get a verdict on whether or not they're going to be reviewed. So Chantal is asking, how recent do they want books for book boxes? So the larger book box companies generally want current releases. So for Fake Rate, when they chose Collateral Damage, it was their June box. I think it was their June box. Or is it July at this point? It was either the June or July box, but the book had come out or was coming out in June. So they want a very, very current release. If it's not being released that month, it needs to be not more than 2 months back, 2 or 3 months back. I think 3 months is pushing it. It has to be a new or very, very current release. If it's a larger book box. If it's a more independent one, because just like publishers, there are tiers of book boxes, then it's different. Like, for example, Fox Crate over in Australia, they are, and you guys can't say anything yet because it's not November and their readers are not supposed to know, but I think I can pretty much tell you this, is that their featured book box for November is The Weaver. And that was not a big deal. That did not go through our printer in China. That is not getting a special edition. I shouldn't say that. It is a big deal for Heather, and it is a big deal for us because they ordered a certain number of books to be distributed to their readers in Australia, and that is always a good thing. But what I'm saying is they're more of like an independent book box company. So it was a print on demand, a certain number that I had to ship, that I had to print, get shipped to my house, and then ship it to Australia. So in that case, that's an older title. And they just chose the title based on merit and based on the content rather than the release day. So it's just something to be aware of. So what I'm trying to say is if you contact a more independent or a smaller book box company, they will be more receptive to an older backlist title than a larger book box company, is what I'm trying to articulate. Okay, so Vicky Ann saying a super dumb question. Nothing is a super dumb question because I'm throwing a lot at you guys tonight. And I'm not apologizing because this is all stuff you have to know. A book box is a book subscription box company. It is a company that has little cardboard book boxes. They have them for makeup. They have them for dog treats. They have them for everything now. And this is for literature and for books. And different companies specialize in different things. There's one for like mystery books, and there's a lot for fantasy and YA. And what they do is they choose one book every month to feature, and then in the box, they include stickers and buttons and maybe a t-shirt or maybe a pencil pouch or like other little prizes within the box. People subscribe to this company, so they pay monthly $25, $35, sometimes $50, depending on how good the stuff is in the box. And they pay this fee every single month, and every month they get a new box delivered to their door. So they're getting a book every single month along with all the other little goodies in there. So it's a lot of fun. It's very inventive, and it's kind of the new thing. It's the new thing in the book publishing world that we all have to be aware of. So yes, book boxes are like Owl Crate, Fake Crate, all of that, Beacon, all of that. Yeah. Everybody's answering the question for me. Depending on the theme. Yeah, no, it's awesome for Heather, and I know that she's going to get a bunch of amazing new readers from that, so we're all really excited. It shows that sequels are not wanted for book box either, so yeah, sequels are harder to market. The whole key there, though, and I think speaking very specifically to you, Mary Beth, and to anybody with sequels, I know Chantal's writing sequels right now, and they are harder to market, is again offering giveaways and focusing your marketing efforts on your first book while talking about your subsequent books in your series. I think that is so important. Offering book one for free for a certain amount of time. I wouldn't make it a perma-free. I think that's disgusting because you've worked so hard on that. I would never suggest that. I was going to say something else. Something else that we're doing is BookBub. This is so important. If you guys don't know what BookBub is, it is a very competitive advertisement. It is a newsletter service, and it's kind of like a Spotify for book lovers. So essentially what somebody does is they sign up for BookBub as a reader, and they select the genres of books that they're interested in. So I would select YA, fantasy, and sci-fi. And then every single day I get a newsletter directly to my inbox, and it's featuring a book for a cheaper price than it would be any other day. So for instance, like I would get a book today, let's say Blinding Night. And it would be a book box feature, and instead of being $4.99 or whatever it is, it would be listed for 99 cents. And that would create a sense of urgency in me as a reader. So I would want to buy it that day. And the thing about BookBub is that they have hundreds of thousands of subscribers that subscribe to BookBub in any given genre. There's a ton. I think like horror has something like 300,000 subscribers just in that genre alone. So that's so many people that are getting that email delivered directly to their inbox every day. Not everybody takes advantage of it, but a lot of people do. It is not curated by an algorithm. It is curated by people. So it is essentially the holy grail of independent book advertising. If you can get a BookBub feature, that's awesome. So at this moment, we have decided to try and put some of our financial investment into that. And Cindy has actually been adding your books to our list on BookBub and submitting them for features. And some of them are being rejected. One of them was accepted actually inside by Deanne Siciliano, is getting her BookBub feature on November 6th. And also Kristen is getting her BookBub feature on October 31st. And Actually, Kristen, I wanted to let you know that yours is going to be international only. I realized they did not accept it for US. They accepted it for international English-speaking markets only, which is still amazing. That doesn't, make it any less awesome. So you're just going to be getting a whole slew of new readers from other countries. So it's just a different kind of opportunity. So that's what we are doing. And so to answer Mary Beth's question about marketing sequels, that's what we're going to make sure that we're doing for your sequels is, trying to get BookBubs for at least your first book. We're going to be putting up every title for consideration. So even your sequels will be considered. But I think the key is to try to get a 99-cent feature or maybe even a free feature on BookBub. If you have a series, and especially if you have a finished series, this would be amazing, because think about it. If you get a free, if you're offering your book for free to hundreds of thousands of people, then, let's say, okay, so I can give her, for instance, so this is, and I'm not saying that all the numbers are always going to be the same. I don't know. It's almost 2020. Things are different now. Things are much more competitive now. And I don't know how strong BookBub is at this point than it was in 2016. We'll find out. I have no idea. But back in 2016, I got a BookBub ad for Of Light and Darkness. It was my first one. I got I did a free feature. So not to say that the ad was free, because it wasn't, but I'm saying I offered Of Light and Darkness to readers for free. So if I had the second or third book out, it would have been amazing, because I had, and I'm seriously not joking, I had 32,000 downloads for Of Light and Darkness. 32,000. The book reached number 4 in the overall free Kindle store. Not in a category, in the entire frigging Kindle store, in general. It reached number 4. It was like the best. It was the best and worst day of my life, because something kind of bad happened that day too with that book, but it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter anymore. But it was a great learning experience. I got so much out of that and what to do better next time. So a lot of key factors come into play there. I know for a fact that BookBubs that get featured earlier in the week, like Monday or Tuesday, do a little bit better than features that happen over the weekend or on a Friday, which is to say it's still not bad. Nothing's bad. No form of advertisement is bad. But I'm just saying, it tends to fluctuate. Also, as far as ranking numbers on Amazon, it depends on the big trad titles that are being published that day, because you're competing with everything in the Kindle store, including them. So if you've got a major title being released the same day that you have a feature or you have a book release, kind of sour grapes for you. There's really nothing to do about that. It's just the way of the world. Everybody's gonna have one of those days. I don't care who you are. You're going to be competing with a book that has a little bit more hype. Back to my point, I totally got off my train of thought. Back to my point, though, is that Of Light and Darkness did very good that day, but I did not, and I offered it for free, and I did not have my subsequent books in the series out. I still don't. So that would have helped me greatly, because I would have funneled all of those new readers, or whoever liked it enough to keep reading the rest of the series, because not everybody likes that book. I would have funneled all of those new readers into the rest of my series. So that's what we are trying to do and hoping to do for you guys. Okay. Oh, that was a tangent. I am sorry. Okay. Yeah. So Chantal's saying that in her case, she didn't make her money back. She had an international BookBub feature. It was later in the week. And she didn't have all of her other titles at the time. So there, like I said, there's just a lot of things that play into it. So just to be completely transparent, we don't know, but we'll see. No, international would not include US. So BookBub segments their service. So it's either so you can get both. You can get US and the European English speaking markets, or they call it international because Australia is included. So then that's everything. Or you can get accepted only for US and not the international markets. So yeah, I know it's confusing, but that's the way I'm explaining it. So regarding sequels, pump that up to people even if we haven't been picked up, acquired. No, I'm not sure if I understand your question. Are you saying to talk about them or to like, I'm confused. Sorry, it's late for me. Are you saying like to talk about it or hype it up to readers, even if it hasn't been acquired? I would, oh, okay. So I would always, when might that happen? When will we pick up your sequel? Well, email us because that's something. Okay, I don't know. The wording of the question is still confused. I'm still confused about it. If you're asking about when you hype up your sequel or when you start talking about your sequel to readers, I think that you should always talk about your current work in progress on social media to your readers. You should always let people know that you're writing something else. Your best form of marketing and your best form of advertising is the fact that you're writing another book. Something else that I learned from an author who is very successful now, she's an independent author. I met her at a convention back in, I think in like 2014, something that she told me and it stuck with me. And I think that it's true, is that readers in the independent realm, in the independent world, don't really start taking you seriously until you've published at least your 5th title. That is the ugly truth. And I'm sure a lot of people are sitting back there like, 5? Like, yeah. Because we are in a day and age where people like to binge watch and binge read, and we're competing not with so many other just authors, we're competing with so many other different types of content, Netflix, music, TV shows, and we're trying to get people to sit down and read what we wrote, and shirk all other forms of entertainment, So if a reader who's really voracious is looking at different choices and they are seeing the standalone that looks really good, but they're seeing this whole series that looks really good and this author that has like 6 books out and this huge following, 9 times out of 10, they're going to go over here because it's just more content for them to read. If they get hooked or if they really like it, they're going to want to keep reading. So, it's just stuff that takes time. Like nobody expects for anybody or any of you to be this prolific overnight. But the whole point of this is to just, like I said earlier on, is to take your brand very seriously, take your career very seriously, go for that longevity in your writing career, and stick with it. And hopefully down the road, not maybe too long down the road, maybe in just a couple of years or whatever, it's going to come back to you, because anything that's worth it takes this amount of time. What else? Oh yeah. Yes, Finn, yes. So if you're worried about like if we're going to consider your sequel or not, yeah, no, definitely email us. Obviously I can't really talk about that here, but no, don't be nervous, because like I said earlier, like months ago, we are more likely to like want to try to take on a series, especially if it has a lot of market potential. And so yeah, don't rush your work. If you're close to being done, that's great, but definitely always talk about it. Make sure that your readers are knowing that there's something else coming from you. Yeah, Chantal, you're a serious author now that you're at 5 titles. Kristen says, ouch. Yeah, that's a big number. Yeah, it just, and it's not to say, I mean, there's always an exception to the rule. Like there are always going to be people that release a book and it hits the market right and the algorithm picks it up and people start talking about it and it's word of mouth and they write one book, and it's rare, but it happens. And so I'm not trying to be a downer at all, but I am trying to be realistic and try to give you good advice and say the point is just that the more prolific you are and the more seriously you're taking your career, and it's not just the thrill of writing one book and putting one book out there. It's that this is, it's going to sound cliche, but this is a marathon. You guys keep going. You keep having stories to tell, and to not put all of your weight on release, because maybe it will happen and maybe it won't. I mean, there's so many reasons why it sometimes hits or sometimes it does not, and it doesn't always have to do with marketing. But the point is that you do everything in your power to market your book. You do everything in your power to try your best and to represent your book the right way, and then you write your next one. And I think any seasoned author will tell you the same thing. And it's just a number. It's just a goal. You know, it's not anything to hinge or to fixate on, or, to get hung up over, like, there's no way I'm going to do this like in the next year or so. Like, it's not about that. It is just it's a long-term goal. It is something that somebody told me a while back, and it stuck with me. And I think, based on looking at the marketplace and based on looking at who has a following, I think a lot of that rings true. I think it's a piece of advice to take seriously, but it's something to work towards and not get so hung up on right now. It's all subjective too. I had someone tell me being indie and not trad didn't really count as publishing. Yeah, and that, oh God, that's such BS too. So I'm gonna spill some tea, but I'm not gonna name any names because that would be ridiculous. But I'm gonna spill some tea right now. So not too recently, halfway recently, we had somebody tell us that if you were an author who was independently published by a small house or self-published, which is still a very viable way to publish your book. I even, when we have interviews and phone calls with new authors coming in who have not signed their contract yet, and they're kind of like, I don't know what to do, I say, look, sometimes self-publishing is a great way to go. It's still viable. I think self-publishing is viable. So I'm just gonna air that out right now. But we had somebody tell us that if you were independently published or self-published, that the trad pubs or agents would never consider you because it's not serious. Okay, so Sarah Sover, who I'm going to call out right now in a good way, was sought out by Writer's Digest this year. And in fact, they paid for her air and her accommodations to fly her lovely little self all the way up to New York to be featured at their panel during their annual Writer's Digest conference or whatever in New York. So I'm sure that was an investment that they chose to make on an independent author. And they featured her in their September issue of Writer's Digest. So I call BS on that. That's going to make me crazy. I just can't with those people. That doesn't make any sense to me. And there are so many people like people who the author of Divergent, like, I mean, I know that like Veronica Roth, like, I know that happens very seldom, but she started out as a self-published or as an independent author, and then she got picked up, her series that was self-published got picked up by a big trad, or Amanda Hawking, like, come on. So anyway, that's my soapbox. I'm gonna get off it now. Yeah, exactly. Victoria Schwab, like, there are so many people that just write your stuff. Just write and talk about your stuff. And if you're working with us, we are so happy to have you. Okay. Heated. Yeah, you just, it's all about you just keep going, and that's it. Yeah, Chantel's saying, oh yeah, I remember this. That was ridiculous. I wanted to, anyway, they're not around anymore. And that's not like tea about anybody recent. So if there is any speculation, that's nobody recent, like, or at all, like that this was a while ago. So, and it's nobody that you would think about, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, so that it's nothing like crazy. So I don't want anyone being like, oh, I haven't heard from this person in a while. Like, it's not like that. Yeah. So Sarah's saying that they had her sitting between the tour editor and Tobias Buckle. So yeah, anyway. Chantal's like, it was years ago. No, it wasn't. It was a couple months ago, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm just making a point. Okay. Anyway, so we are at an hour and a half. I am going to say last call. Are there any final questions before we wrap this up? You guys can absolutely email us or put in the author group if there are any last minute like questions that you forgot. But before I officially call it and sign off, is there anything else that you want to make sure we talk about tonight? No, I did not cover that. So Chantal is saying, does everyone know the structure of who does what? I did not cover that. So all of the new people, of course, I will quickly just say, so Amanda is still our submissions editor. And right now she's helping with a lot of like the marketing and especially like the Patreon page that we have, and all of that money is going towards advertising and ISBN numbers in the future and things. Like, we haven't quite amassed the amount for ISBN numbers for the amount that we need, but like for advertisements and things like that, just so you guys know. So that's what she's doing. And then, so Erica is actually on a personal leave of absence right now. That is not tea. That is just because she was going through a kind of a, dodgy personal time, and she will be back. Everything is fine. She's doing great. But she's just taking a break. So just something for you guys to know. So that's why you're going to be hearing a lot from Jessica. Jessica right now is essentially manning, holding down the fort of the marketing department with us. Of course, we are all working together. So Jessica is the social media and marketing intern. That's why she is here. That is what she is helping put together for us, bringing a lot of new energy and a lot of new ideas to the table. That's what she's doing. Mike is our PR intern. So he's working with Bree, like I said earlier, to write the press releases and the distribution of press releases. Cindy is the publishing assistant and author liaison intern. She is wonderful. She is keeping me organized, which is hard to do. Chantal knows. So she is going to be taking on a lot of like the conversations with you, making sure your questions get answered faster, because I know I'm the worst with emails. So that's going to, and she's got other duties as well, but that's something you're going to be hearing from her a lot. So that's awesome. And then Alyssa is our submissions department intern. So she's going to be helping Amanda with restructuring our submissions department, how we're going to be taking on new submissions, and helping her with Patreon and things like that. Yeah, everybody, if you guys can help advertise Patreon, that would be great, because it's all for you. All of that money is going right back into the company. So it's all for, like I said, advertisements, ISBNs, barcodes. It would help us get listed on 100% with Ingram a lot faster, actually. So yeah. Marlena, you're so welcome. And as things get updated, as there's new information to share and new marketing ideas and opportunities and tactics, then of course, like, we're going to keep doing this. I am of the mind that a rising tide floats all boats. So if somebody does well, we all do well. And so if anybody has anything to share within the group for everybody else, that is so appreciated. I'm so tired. I've just been going all week, so I'm taking the day off tomorrow. If you guys don't hear from me tomorrow because it's Saturday, just know why. Yeah. Okay. So Kristen is asking, do we reach Cindy through Shane's email? No, Cindy will have her own email, and she will be actually reaching out to you guys on Monday. It is, and you can write this down. It's Cindy, just the way you spelled it, CINDY .parliamentpress@gmail.com. So no Parliament House. So it's cindy.parliamentpress@gmail.com. And all of the new interns, that's the format of all of their emails. So Mike's would be michael.parliamentpress@gmail.com, Jessica, so on and so forth. Yeah, we can put everybody's in the email in the Facebook group. That's fine. No problem. The interns are awesome and doing so great. Thanks you guys. Yeah, and also you will be hearing from either Cindy or Alyssa, because we are reworking our blurbs, like our back cover copies for our books, so that all of them are going to be written in proper copyright. This is so important too, because a lot of our blurbs are very wordy and cumbersome, and they don't look good on the back of a book. And more than that is that when a new reader looks at your product page on Amazon, it's like they give up after the fourth paragraph of just a lot of wordiness. So they're going to be reaching out if you're on our backlist and if you are on our front list and don't have a blurb yet, to pen one and to get one started, or to rework one if you're an older author with us. And essentially your blurb should sound and read like a movie trailer. It should not be every single thing your book is about. You have to leave some things to the imagination. You have to make the reader ask themselves some questions or wonder about certain things. So there are a few right now that are just kind of divulging way too much information. So you want to essentially make sure you have a call to action at the bottom, like read this book today or get started on this adventure today. And then it should really be no more than like 3 very small paragraphs, asking a question, introducing your main characters, what is the general, feel or idea of this, and that's it. It should feel like a movie trailer. So you will be hearing from them if your blurb needs it. If it doesn't need it, then you won't be hearing from them. I hope it was helpful. I hope I wasn't babbling. Yeah, I hope you guys gleaned a lot from this, and if I can answer any more questions later, I absolutely will. Yeah, yes, you can redo your blurbs. A lot of us need to. I'm not sure about yours. I'm not talking about yours specifically because I just don't know. It's not in front of me, but yeah, there's a lot of things in 2020 that are going to be revamped. A lot. Yeah, that's fine, Kristen. We can definitely take another look at it. That's fine. Just, you can email Cindy directly if you want to. Yeah, just read the book, okay? It's great. Just listen. All right, you guys, I am going to call it. I hope you have a wonderful night. I'm sure I will be hearing from a lot of you. You will not hear back from me until Monday. So have a relaxing weekend, and I hope that this was all insightful and all good. And we love working with all of you, and we wish the best for all of your titles and your upcoming titles and your backlisted titles. And I think the new year is going to be very exciting. So that's it. You'll hear from us soon. Bye. You're welcome.